Hey, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Paranormal Lens Podcast. I am Jamie Widener, and along with Chad Thomas, and both members of Jott-Nyx Paranormal, the sponsor for our program. So, Mr. Thomas, sir, how are you?
I am doing well, Jamie. How are you?
I, busy as always. So,
Uh-huh.
like a whirlwind. I realized at about 8:47, like, oh crap, I got to go.
Uh-huh.
And as I showed up here at 8:50, so yeah, I'm in the house. Don't get me wrong, I'm not like
Yeah,
running
yeah.
down the street or something, but oh my goodness, how time flies when you're just doing stuff. I can't
Mhm.
even say having fun. We got a high school graduate getting ready to go off to college, so all the lists of things are getting worked and reworked, and products keep showing up here, and items keep showing up here. It's overwhelming my dining room area. I don't know, man. I can't wait for move out or
Uh,
well, move in. They have
Uh-huh.
move out here. Not like she's
I
really
understand.
moving out,
Yep.
right? But
Yeah.
holy
So
cow!
yeah, I've been just thinking about that, how like it's gonna be so different that we'll not people not knowing our schedule, we'll have a whole week without a
Yeah,
child. It's gonna be
without a human and an extra human. Yeah,
yeah.
this is gonna be great.
So
We're gonna miss her, of course, of course. It's
but
gonna be
anyway,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can tell you this: I got cultured up this weekend.
Okay.
Um, if anybody follows me on social media, and Chad and I both are on them, so feel free, jump in. Um, I got to go to a place in Mount Gretna, Pennsylvania, sort of near here, about half an hour away, called the Jigger Shop. It's Jigger. Yes, that's really its name. It
Because
has
of
been around,
Jiggers, a
right,
Pennsylvania thing.
around since the dawn of time.
Mhm.
Uh, it's the classic ice cream restaurant place that has indoor, outdoor, and under the trees of Mount Gretna. Mount Gretna is this artist colony kind of place. It's like the old timey where everybody went for vacation, get away here in South
Mhm.
Central Pennsylvania, where we're at. Um, I, in all of my life years, have never been there.
It
I don't
is
know
a
how it happened. I
yeah.
don't. I don't know how. Like how did I miss this? But it is like classic, and I
Mhm.
was so happy to do that. And then we got to go to the Mount Gretna Playhouse, which is right next door, like right
Mhm.
there, to see Hadestown,
Mhm.
which was phenomenal.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah, I highly recommend it if it's out there in your area of the world and you're
Mhm.
into theater. Um, Fantastic program. And then Saturday, M was in Peter Pan, so
Mhm.
as the best pirate ever. Um, so that was fun, right?
Yep.
So a full weekend of culture.
Yeah, and that was a really good production for a
Yeah,
2 week camp. Those kids did an amazing job. So
absolutely.
kudos to Creative Pursuit Studios. They put on a good program. So yeah, definitely check them out if you're in the area. I don't know. Did you
Absolutely.
know I worked in Mount Gretna for a summer, Jamie?
I did not.
I
Tell me
worked
more.
I worked at the theater for a summer. So the Jigger Shop and the Hideaway were two.
Hideaway, sure.
I mean, I was 20 that summer, so I spent more time at the Jigger Shop than the Hideaway.
Right. Yeah, the Hideaway is the restaurant bar for the adults who come there on vacation.
Hmm.
Leave the kids behind in the evening with the grandparents or the
Right.
whomever.
And it
Um,
is there's a tabernacle in the other side of the town. I don't know if you realize that there's the
wow.
playhouse in the one side, but if you cross the street that goes back out to 72, the shortcut over the hill, there's a
Okay.
tabernacle and it's a camp meeting on the other side.
Well,
It's
neat.
Mount Gretna on one side and camp meeting on the other side. So
Okay.
it's a
Oh, wow.
really cool little town.
It is, and it's. I missed my turn leaving,
Uh-huh.
and the Waze app told me to turn right into a street that didn't look like a street at all. Um, it was an alley essentially, but it was a street by their definition, and
Hmm.
it was basically a car width wide and narrowing as we went along. Um, but I got to see some of the really really unique houses that
Oh,
are there.
they're just
Just
amazing. Yeah.
truly unique, yeah, and just classic
Mhm.
Americana stuff. A lot of craftsman style homes, which I love, and a lot of mid century modern type stuff. So
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
Just it was a pleasant thing to miss the turn to get to do that and come up and around and come back out somewhere up the road where I should have been anyway.
Hmm.
But
I
yeah,
I
so
believe they have an art show coming up. The Mount Gretna Art Show is
they
typically
do.
in the middle of August. It's a
Yep,
really
that's
good show.
it's
So
a big one too for our area as
yep.
well. Yes. So working the Gretna Playhouse. Any ghosts? Yeah. I have to ask.
No, not really. I mean, it's a lot different than when it was when I worked there. Like it was pretty much just an open roof structure when I worked there. Um,
Okay.
it because of snow a few years ago, it collapsed, and
Oh, sure.
I was there before the collapse, so it was more just an open air theater at that time, but no
Sure.
ghosts that I know of.
It's now got a roof, but it's still open on the sides.
Hmm.
So it is that atmosphere kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's kind of cool too, that you don't get
Yep.
really anywhere in a theater anymore.
Right. So
This whole bunch of summer stock shows coming through. So
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So,
yeah. Yeah.
hello to Linda. Good to see you
Hey,
here with
Linda.
us. So,
Yeah.
but
Welcome.
so that was your culture, Jamie. But I'm assuming you did some studying on a topic that we're working on tonight, right?
Yeah, probably did. Of course I did. What do you mean? Oh, you hope I did. Um, yeah. So we're here tonight to talk about Savannah, Georgia, and that's a cue, right, to go right to it, huh?
Sure.
Um, segue. The um, the reason I chose this tonight was we did a couple months back. We did New Orleans, and
Uh huh.
their claim to be America's most haunted city. Well, Savannah has the same. And I'll challenge you guys, once we get through all of this, to go back and watch the other episode. Maybe do them side by side. Do the old Pepsi challenge, and I'll let you all decide which one is. Maybe it's a tie. Who knows?
Hmm.
Um, but I think they both have a. I think you'll find as we go through this tonight, they both have a compelling argument, um, and probably other places do too. We'll get to them. I swear. So,
Okay.
but let's dig into it. So we don't ever start this without where are we in the world, right? So Savannah, Georgia is in the southeastern United States, and it's in the coastal area of Georgia. And it's pretty much as far north on the coast of Georgia as you can get. It's about 45 minutes south of Hilton Head. So,
Hmm.
reference that's in North Carolina or South Carolina, I'm sorry. So, east as you can get. The history is long, and I'm going to start, obviously at the beginning. Well, I'm going to start at the beginning of the not Native American history, which goes back thousands and thousands of years. This is native land, so we're not going to miss that here. But I'm going to talk about the colonial period, starting with that history, and it starts in 1733. So Savannah was founded on February 12th, 1733, by General James Edward Oglethorpe. Say that 5 times fast, right?
Uh huh.
He was a British philanthropist and member of Parliament. He arrived with 120 passengers aboard the ship Anne, intending to create a new colony named Georgia, the last of the original 13 colonies. Oglethorpe named the city Savannah, with an ah at the end, after the nearby Savannah River, a name likely derived from the Shawnee word Savannah, Savanna, no H, so slightly different pronunciation.
Okay.
And in the Shawnee language, that means open plain, which was flat land around the river. Oglethorpe's vision for Savannah was idealistic and also humanitarian. Georgia was originally meant to be a colony for debtors and the worthy poor of England. He banned slavery, alcohol, and lawyers. 2 of the 3, okay.
Uh huh.
And he laid out Savannah in a unique grid design of 24 public squares, many of which still exist today. Early settlers included English, German, Scottish, and Sephardic Jewish communities. The city also forged relatively peaceful relations with the Yakima tribe, especially through Oglethorpe's alliance with Chief Tomochichi and interpreter, Mary Musgrove, who was of mixed Yamacraw and English ancestry. It always helps to have someone who speaks the language, right?
Yep.
So moving forward a little bit to the Revolutionary era, the War era, in the 1750s, the idealistic laws of the Georgia colony, especially the ban on slavery, had been overturned. And Savannah began to resemble the plantation economy of its southern neighbors. Slavery was legalized in 1751, and rice and cotton plantations became central to the regional economy. During the American Revolution, Savannah was a strategic port and a target. The British captured the city in 1778 and held it until 1872. I'm sorry, 1782. My dyslexia. I didn't realize I was dyslexic until I started reading things out loud, right? Goodness. 1782. Not as long as we thought.
Right.
One of the bloodiest battles of the war, the Siege of Savannah, occurred in 1779 when American and French forces unsuccessfully tried to retake the city. Over 1,000 troops died, and the British remained in control until the war ended. Moving ahead a little bit to the 19th century. In the early 1800s, Savannah became a booming port and commercial hub, especially due to its role in the cotton trade. The invention of the cotton gin in 1793 had revolutionized agriculture, and Georgia's enslaved population grew to meet the demand for labor. By the mid 1800s, Savannah had become one of the largest exporters of cotton in the world. The city was home to many wealthy planters and merchants, and its prosperity was reflected in its grand architecture. Greek Revival, Gothic, and Italianate styles adorned homes, churches, and public buildings. However, this wealth was built on the backs of enslaved African Americans, whose forced labor made the city's prosperity possible. Savannah also endured repeated yellow fever epidemics in the 19th century, which killed thousands and contributed to the city's eerie reputation. Moving ahead to the Civil War. During the American Civil War, Savannah joined the Confederacy, and while it saw little direct combat early on, the city played a major role in supplying the Southern war effort. In December 1864, General William Tecumseh Sherman famously ended his march to the sea in Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of destroying the city, as he had in Atlanta, Sherman spared Savannah, reportedly because he found it too beautiful to burn. And on December 22nd, 1864, he offered the city to President Abraham Lincoln as a Christmas gift. This act preserved Savannah's historic architecture and prevented further devastation. During the Reconstruction. After the war, Savannah, like much of the South, struggled to recover economically. The abolition of slavery destroyed the plantation system, and Reconstruction brought political and social upheaval. Despite this, Savannah slowly rebuilt. Its port and shipping industry remained central, and new industries like lumber and naval stores began to grow. Streetcars, public schools, and modern water systems emerged in the late 1800s, ushering in an era of modernization. However, racial tensions remained high. The rise of Jim Crow laws led to segregation and a disenfranchisement of black citizens, and Savannah's African American population faced systemic oppression despite its vital role in the city's culture and economy. A little further ahead in the 20th century. During World War II, Savannah's shipbuilding industry boomed. The city produced Liberty ships at the Southeastern Shipbuilding Corporation, contributing to the war effort and revitalizing the economy. After the war, like so many southern cities, Savannah saw urban expansion and a demographic shift. Many residents moved to the suburbs, and historic buildings began to fall into disrepair and were razed. In the 1950s and 60s, a group of visionary citizens, led by 7 women who formed the historic Savannah Foundation, began a campaign to preserve the city's architecture and history. They fought against rampant demolition and saved dozens of historic structures, paving the way for Savannah to become a leading example of American historic preservation, things that we all love so much.
Mm-hmm.
The city's reputation as a tourist destination soared after the release of John Barnett's 1994 bestseller, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which told a semi-true tale of murder, voodoo, and high society in Savannah. The book and the Clint Eastwood directed movie that followed thrust Savannah into the international spotlight, leading us to today. Today, Savannah is a vibrant mix of old and new. It's home to the Savannah College of Art and Design, or a terrible name, SCAD. Yeah, do better. No offense. A thriving art scene, an eclectic culinary culture, and a growing population. It remains one of the busiest ports in the U.S. and attracts millions of tourists each year. Yet its past is always close. Visitors walk among centuries-old oaks and antebellum homes, visit cemeteries filled with Confederate soldiers and yellow fever victims, and enter buildings that have once stood since the colonial era. Savannah is a city that refuses to forget. Its beauty is undeniable, but so is its complexity, steeped in elegance, shadowed by history, and ever evolving.
Cool.
So, yeah, there's a lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the, there's a little bit of everything in that. That's why I wanted to kind of cover the depth of it. And obviously, we could have went in a lot more detail, but the reality is the the Revolutionary War was here, the Civil War was here, epidemics, and that's a port town, right? And we've
Mhm.
seen the yellow fever be issues all up and down the East Coast because people are coming in on ships, debarking, bringing their issues with them, their
Mhm.
illnesses and such. Not unlike when the original colonists arrived and brought things from Europe that Native Americans never had seen before, dealt with before.
Yep.
So some of that was rather devastating, especially with the lack of modern medicine, in the time and the era. So,
Mhm.
and it all leads to some paranormal stuff, right?
Right.
Right.
And right. And some beautiful homes.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah,
So,
this there. As you see these slides roll through, I tried to capture a lot of it, but not by any means all of it. And I would just like to walk the streets. And
mhm.
unfortunately, I've been by Savannah, and I'll share where location wise, it's on I-95. I've passed through it, by it, if you will,
Mhm.
but it's always been at a pace to get somewhere else. Usually heading to Florida or back,
Yep.
kind of thing. So. Um, I wish I would have stayed or
Yeah,
stopped and spent some time.
unfortunately, when you're driving down to Florida, Savannah is one of those cities you typically, when leaving from Pennsylvania, you typically hit Savannah at nighttime, and you just want to keep going, getting where you're
Yeah,
getting.
that or it's too early in the morning if you leave early, and then
Mhm.
you just want to get more time behind you, behind the wheel before you stop. So yeah,
Yep.
I agreed. But it might be well worth the layover. So
Well, I know somebody who's driving to Florida in November.
yeah, so do I. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So here's the reason to stay. One of the key reasons Savannah is considered haunted is its literal foundation. Much of the city was constructed over Native American burial grounds, colonial cemeteries, and mass graves. As the city expanded in the 18th and 19th centuries, cemeteries were paved over or forgotten, their occupants left undisturbed but not necessarily silent. A place called Wright Square, for instance, was once the site of a colonial cemetery and gallows. It is said that the spirit of Alice Riley, a servant executed for murder in 1735, still haunts the square, especially on foggy mornings. Some other key locations: the Sorrel Weed House. The stately mansion near Madison Square is one of the most actively investigated locations in the country. Paranormal claims include apparitions of Matilda Sorrel, who originally died by suicide after discovering her husband's affair, shadow figures and disembodied voices in the basement, once used to house enslaved people, sudden cold spots, physical touches, and many Class A EVPs, or electronic voice phenomenal,
Mhm.
and it's been featured on Ghost Hunters, Travel Channel's Haunted USA, and many, many other shows. So it's out there.
Mhm.
The Bonaventure Cemetery, famous for its beauty and made iconic by the Midnight and the Garden of Good and Evil book, the cemetery is also known for its ghostly residents. This is interesting. The statue of Gracie Watson, a child who died in 1889, is said to weep or bleed from the eyes. Visitors report hearing children's laughter, ghostly dogs, and feeling watched among the headstones. And also rather interesting, grave sites reportedly shift or hum with energy, especially at night.
Hmm.
The Marshall House. Originally opened in 1851, this hotel served as a Civil War hospital and again during two yellow fever epidemics. Guests frequently hear footsteps, moaning, and voices, especially on the fourth floor. Ghostly children are seen running down halls, and water faucets turn on by themselves. During renovations, human remains, mostly amputated limbs, were found beneath the floorboards.
Okay.
Yeah, no, no. Ah. The next is Moon River Brewing Company. Once a hotel and later a warehouse, Moon River has seen violent fights, deaths, and fires. Staff and guests report glasses flying off shelves, shadow figures moving about, and physical attacks. The basement is said to be the most active area with a dark male entity known as Toby.
Hmm.
The house at 432 Abercorn Street, one of Savannah's most mysterious private residences. Stories claim that a young girl was left to die inside the house as punishment, and her spirit now paces before the windows. Locals report oppressive energy, strange lights, and shadow figures at night. The house has been empty for years and considered cursed by some. In the Colonial Park Cemetery. Colonial Park Cemetery is more than just a graveyard. It's a chilling window into Savannah's dark past. Thousands of people were buried here between the mid-1700s and the mid-1800s, including victims of yellow fever epidemics, duels, and murders. But not all of them rest in peace. Over time, the boundaries of the cemetery were reduced, meaning many bodies remain under the sidewalks and streets surrounding the park today. During General Sherman's Union occupation of Savannah in 1864, his soldiers reportedly camped in the cemetery, tampered with grave markers, and vandalized headstones. Some dates were even altered as a joke. You'll see these graves where people appear to have died before they were even born. Oh boy, no.
That's a weird one.
Yeah. So, as a bit of a recap, Savannah has embraced its haunted identity. The city is home to dozens of ghost tours, walking, trolley hearse, and even haunted pub crawls. The supernatural is a part of the city's culture, woven into its hospitality industry, its festivals, and its local identity. It's also the home of the Savannah Paranormal Museum.
Okay.
TV shows like Ghost Adventures, Kindred Spirits, The Dead Files, and most recently Expedition X have filmed in Savannah, often capturing chilling EVPs, motion sensor activity, and footage of full-bodied apparitions. Locals report paranormal activity as normal part of daily life. Flickering lights, voices when home alone, footsteps on the stairs when no one's climbing. Some claim their homes simply act up during the anniversaries of major historic events. It's no big deal. So why is Savannah so haunted? I think there are several factors here, but layered death is the first that comes to mind. From Native American burial grounds to colonial cemeteries, the city is built on the dead.
Right.
A lot of unsolved trauma, or unresolved trauma, I'm sorry. The slavery era, wars, epidemics, and natural disasters have left behind centuries of pain. It's in the land. Architectural preservation. With hundreds of original 18th and 19th century buildings still standing, Savannah maintains a strong connection to its past, spirits and all. And the cultural embrace of the paranormal. In Savannah, ghosts aren't taboo, they're tradition. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, some final thoughts. Savannah is more than a haunted city, it's a living ghost story. It doesn't just house spirits, it invites you to walk alongside them. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Savannah has a way of making you question what you know about life, death, and the thin veil between the two. Some cities have history. Savannah has haunted memory. Let me cite some sources and we'll discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So first, visit savannah.com, history.com, ghostsandgravestones.com, savannahfirsttimer.com, usghostadventures.com, ghostcitytours.com, and the Savannah Paranormal Museum.com. Chad? Let's go. No one said road trip yet. What the heck?
Well,
Let's go.
Bert did say I'll have Heather reserve the Airbnb.
All right.
So
That's close.
I mean,
That's close enough. All right.
So,
Oh, and one more thing. If you want to have a scary good time without ghosts, go see the Savannah Bananas baseball team. It
Oh
is
my goodness.
the baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters. It is a raucously fun, good time, even if you don't like sports ball stuff.
Uh-huh.
A ton of YouTube videos are out there. I follow them on social media. They are dynamically fun,
Well,
and they have their party animals, resident opponent,
mm-hmm.
that they always play. So,
Well, they're actually building a league, and
ah,
it's going to be several teams. I've been the founder is a motivational speaker.
okay,
He and his wife had this idea. They didn't want investors. They ended up selling their house at one point because this was their dream. and it's all about the fans, and it's a really cool story. So,
And they tour the country as well. They were
mhm.
just in Philadelphia,
Baltimore, yep,
Baltimore, in the major ballparks, and they bring in. And we're getting off point of the paranormal per se, but
but
this that's really cool is they bring in former major leaguers from those cities, to help boost up, the
mhm,
fanfare of it.
yep,
But these guys are all dynamically really, really good players too, and fantastic athletes. Some of the stunt catches they make and the trick throws they make from their base positions is dynamic,
yeah.
and the pitcher on stilts, whole other thing.
However, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
So
anyway,
anyway, Google it.
getting
Savannah bananas. Google them. You'll love it.
yeah. So getting back
So
to
back to
Savannah
this.
itself, um, I don't feel like you can compare Savannah and New Orleans apples to orange, apples to apples. I mean, I think
Well,
you've got layers in both places, but they're different layers.
yes.
Because in Louisiana, you've got or in New Orleans, you've got the voodoo, you've got the religion side of it, you've got the deep South history, like just like you do in Georgia and at Savannah, but there's just so much in both places.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can pick one as the.
Well, you got to remember. No, I'm sorry, I lost you there.
I was just saying I don't know if you could pick one as the most
Uh,
haunted.
yeah, sorry, I had to break up an audio. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Um, the one thing that sticks to me is that New Orleans was founded, and it didn't have any residents. So the governor, which was really from Alabama, covering the territory, signaled the King of France at the time to say, "We need people. Can you
Uh-huh.
send colonists?" Basically, and what he got was an opening of the jails. Criminals, prostitutes, you know,
Right,
worst people who are they didn't want in France anymore. They just shipped them over.
right.
And those who survived the trip, here you are. And
Mhm.
that led to some of the early just negativity around the city, and how it was very dangerous to be there at times. How it grew out from that is amazing. It's a survival story, really.
Right.
And perseverance and intention. But Georgia in general as a colony was designed, and specifically with Savannah being built on a grid, it was a blueprint for how to do this elsewhere here,
Mhm.
at least in America. Europe had done it to some degree, but
Right.
anytime you drive around anywhere on the East Coast, the roads are as tight, and especially the oldest parts. Like I get down in the inner city Philly, in the core, down at like First, Second Streets. There's still cobblestone streets that are barely one car wide.
Yep.
That was plenty wide for a carriage, or two.
Uh-huh.
So, we used to joke, like, turn anytime you're going off a ramp, there used to be these hard angled turns because that was the only place they could put them because of the other stuff that was there, and the highway was an afterthought. It wasn't there first.
Right.
As you move west, though, to our westward expansions, I had the privilege of living in Albuquerque, and it's also built on a grid. And I knew exactly where I was at any point just by looking at a street sign, because it would be labeled as southeast, northeast, southwest, east, whatever.
Right.
So, and you had a correspondence of direction by which side of Route 40 you were on, above or below, or which left or right of I-25 you were on. You
Mhm.
knew what quadrant you were in, at least, so you were never really all that lost. You can get in some bad places,
Right. But you
right?
knew it.
But
You
you knew
weren't
where you
lost.
were. You knew
Exactly.
where not to go for that very reason.
Right.
So, but, and that stuff is, to me, is just a night and day difference there as well. And I agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
That it's hard to compare them,
Right.
but the similarities, though, the epidemics,
Mhm.
the disasters, war. War did not spare New Orleans.
No.
So we had a lot of the same traumas, and slavery all across.
Exactly.
So the weight of slavery all across the entire South. So I agree. Apples, and they're not. They might be They both might be apples, but they're not the same type. One's a
Right.
Macintosh, and the other's a Red Delicious. You
Right.
know.
Mhm.
So, um,
So,
but
but
not.
yeah, I don't think one can claim being more haunted over the other. I think they each
Oh, but
have.
it's a fun conversation, isn't
It
it? I
is.
mean,
It
really,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But and I've heard stories of these beautiful mansions in Savannah that are just have paranormal activity, and it's cool. I mean, some of the stories and I can't remember specific ones that I've heard, but this guy living in this mansion, he was sort of the caretaker, and they turned it into a museum. It's not the paranormal museum, but there's another one. Like, it's just so cool, and things that happened to him. So, yeah, and Bert's
Yeah.
saying, don't forget St. Augustine.
Well, we
Uh,
haven't. We just haven't gotten there yet. So
so,
yes, and that's the thing. Here's another city that claims to be America's most haunted place.
hmm
And it's America's oldest city. So I get it. I get it overall. Um, and there is the reason these claims come up, at least to me, is that it allows another layer of opportunity for someone to come there. All of them. New Orleans is a beautiful city. It has a lot of charm. It has history. It has all of the things. It has climate. Savannah has history, has charm, has climate. St. Augustine, the same
hmm
thing. You don't hear Duluth, Wisconsin being America's most haunted city. 'Cause nobody
right,
wants to go in the middle of winter. And I'm
right,
joking to say I love the northern tier. In winter, it's great, but these all of these claims are always in the southern states, in the warm weather places.
hmm
Because they want tourism. They want you to come. They want you to experience the place,
right,
and we should. We
mhm,
all should if we can. Get out and see these things, um, and make your own judgment from it. That's the
right,
best way to do it.
yeah. So again, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to say without visiting both of them, and having activity. Yeah, I'm going to say they're both up there.
Yeah,
But
and
I'm going to say they are haunted. I will go that far.
oh, I agree. Haunted AF.
hmm
And sir, as you're traveling the coastline down to Florida later in November,
Uh-huh.
you could stop, maybe take a little side trip.
I could, but I'm going to have two kids with me who aren't in. Well, one of them is.
One of them is, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a 2-to-1 vote, so you win, right? Just don't let him drive through Georgia, and you'll be fine.
We'll see. Yeah.
All
So.
right. Well, I'm
Um,
jealous of that trip no matter what. So good for
mhm.
you.
Hey, it's going to be my research project to see the haunted mansion again. you,
Right.
you were there. You were there a couple years ago, and now it's my turn.
Yeah.
So
Well, last April. I know it feels like a lot longer.
yeah.
Anytime you go and you get back, it's like even if you're gone like 2 days, it feels like it's been forever since you were there.
hmm
So
So
yes,
yeah, it's an interesting city. I mean, the beauty, the historic, you've got the trees that are just the what's the big tree that's on all the you know I'm drawing a blank.
well, they're noted for oak trees, but cypresses are pretty
Magnolias
common.
and
Magnolias, right? Cypress, magnolia, oak are all
yeah.
fairly common, and they're coastal trees as well.
hmm
You won't find as many of the cypress inland. They
Right.
need a damp or wet climate, I believe. Not as versed as I used to be on my arborisms, but yeah, and the same thing though. The trees, but the properties.
hmm
The intentional historic preservation really made a difference here.
Right.
And unfortunately, some buildings got knocked down before this activity could happen, and
hmm
uh, stuff could get saved. But once it became a thing, then it became a challenge to save them all,
Right.
and they did a
Yeah.
whole lot. With the preservation group, and good for them.
hmm
Because we lose too many treasures to development.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and
and
thank goodness Sherman came to his senses before when he hit Savannah.
yeah.
I mean, he
Well,
could have.
he saw what we see still now. He saw the
Mhm.
beauty of the place and decided it was worth saving.
Yeah.
And honestly, he didn't know where else to go, so he had to wait for ships to come and get him, take him somewhere else. So why would you burn down the place you have to hang out for a while?
Right.
That made no sense either. So I mean, there
Yeah.
was probably some duplicity in this, but the good sense. You're right. The good
Mm-hmm.
sense was to not do it, and
Mm-hmm.
it saved so much. In the South was the reconstructing era was hard because so many things were destroyed, and not just the industry things, but the homes, and the cities, the places where people needed to live weren't there,
Right.
and then people were coming. The carpetbaggers were coming from the north, and you know there was just a whole lot of unrest. There was at least a refuge in Savannah, which brought more people back to it
Mm-hmm.
quickly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to hear some more more stories about some of the specific haunts and some of the specific buildings. But so maybe we'll
Yeah,
have to dig into those stories a little bit. Some of the
sure. Well, you,
mansions, the places you named, we could
mhm.
almost do individual stories on some of these.
Oh, quite possibly, yeah. And and not to minimize that comment, but again, there's been so many programs that have focused time in Savannah that you could physically see a lot of this without having to go into the place.
Right.
Um, I recall one episode of somebody doing the brewery, and there was stuff moving in the basement on camera. Like, that's interesting, like
Hmm.
fascinatingly interesting. And a heavy presence kind of thing happening, which I'm assuming
Hmm.
is the spirit they call Toby.
Right.
But it's just amazing to me, like the depth of it. And so many programs are there that that's the nicety, right? I was just talking with a coworker today. Her mother passed fairly recently, and she's waiting for that contact. Like, and I get it.
Hmm.
Like, I said to her, sometimes things aren't so obvious. Sometimes it's very subtle. You
Hmm.
know, someone's coming back from the other side, and just let you know they're okay, whatever it may be.
Right.
Or to tell you got to clean your room, whatever, right?
Right.
Um, but it's not always an obvious thing, and that I don't know if I helped or hurt the conversation for her thought process, but
Right.
it lit a light bulb of like, well, I did find like a cabinet door open, and I never leave things open. Like, well,
Right.
maybe that was it.
Hmm.
Little things that you kind of let go. Like, oh, I guess I forgot. Or I did this. And I said, well, set up a camera. Keep a journal. We always say that, right?
Right.
Start
Yep.
logging things that you notice are just not what you remember it being, or not the way you left it, and then you start to see some patterns,
Hmm.
right? Help yourself that way, and that way, you have something to go back on instead of just when was that, what was that. You have documents.
Yep.
Then there was her husband has a trail cam. I'm like, well, there you go, put it in the kitchen. You're
Yep.
going to find him coming down for a snack at 3 a.m. and stumbling away with the cabinet door open, maybe, right?
Right.
Or if you're really lucky, you'll find it opens on its own, and that's super cool too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Uh, so many ways to go about this. So.
yes. And it's funny too, and I think everybody out there who's in the field can say you've had a conversation that you never expected to have with somebody you would never suspect to be interested in the paranormal at some point.
Hmm.
And that's the cool part. The
Yeah.
really cool part of that, there's so much connectivity,
Hmm.
and everybody's got a story of some
Yeah.
kind.
I,
If it's not theirs, they know someone, kind of
I
thing.
I had a coworker who came up to me twice in the last week, and he said, do you believe in this stuff? Do you really believe in this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I lived in an apartment in Mannheim, and I had to move out because there were so many things going on."
Oh,
And he's like, "I'd really like for you to investigate that place." And I'm like, "Well, I'd have to see." Like, and he actually was over that way the other day and saw somebody on the balcony because it was a second floor, and he's like, he yelled up to him. He goes, "Do you have weird things happen up there?" And the guy's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, like paranormal stuff." He goes, "Yeah, that's why I'm hanging out on the balcony because nobody else is here, and I don't like to be inside by myself." So he gave me the address, Jamie. Maybe it's worth me writing a letter to him and reaching out and saying, "Hey." So
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Why not? You
yeah,
never know.
so um, he was telling me some things, and the biggest one is they had a window that would never stay shut. You know, like an outside window would just always want to open, and they got tired of it and they complained to their landlord about it. The landlord came and put a nail in the window.
Right.
They left and they came back, and the window was open and the nail was bent up because like
Forced it.
it forced it now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I as
I
soon as
think
we're done here, you got to write that letter. Okay.
so.
Well, and that's the point. That's the point I'm making. Like, you just never know who's going to come, around the corner next, and have the next opportunity either,
Uh-huh.
to explore something you haven't done yet, or engage in something you haven't done.
Right.
Um, and I work in the sales department, so I have a few customers who have shared what I do,
Mhm.
and one of them placed an order today. I had to call and discuss it with them, and she said, "So where have you been?" And
Mhm.
she's up in Rhode Island, so I'm like, "Well, I was actually not too far away recently. I was over in Vermont, over at Wilson Castle." And like,
Mhm.
really? And then I couldn't stop myself from explaining it. Like
Right,
once
right.
you find that your people, you share, and so it's there's more people than we know.
Yeah. Yep. So it's great to keep the conversation going with people, though, because the more you do that, the more you find out about places that you just would have never guessed that
Yeah,
have activity. You know.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, every people have been this another coworker's told me this one day, and it was rather funny. She was looking at the newspaper in the obituary section. She's like, people are dying today who've never died before, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's a joke. I get it,
Uh-huh.
haha. But people have been dying for thousands and thousands of years,
Yep.
and there's no place here that's totally untouched that way. Even if it's a new build, it's something was there before it.
Right.
So there could be anything anywhere. So that's really the kind of cool thing. Um, there's always our opportunities all around us, and that's why I was asking about the theater. At Mount Gretna,
Uh-huh.
having been there and done that. Theaters are notorious for energies, and when there's energy, there's passion, there's energy. I
Mhm.
say that a lot.
Mhm.
And that energy is what keeps people to that
Well,
place.
yeah, yeah. The more I think about it, I think there were some stories of things there. I mean, that was, when I was 20 turning 21. So it was a couple years ago, Jamie. My memory is not the best of that year. So,
Yeah, a couple weekends ago, right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
okay, okay.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, understand. I do, and
But I think, now I think about it, I think there were some stories of certain things, because there was the building that was the backstage, so it was partially covered, and there were dressing rooms back there, and I think there were stories in the dressing rooms of things that would move, and yeah, yeah, stretching the memory a little bit.
all right, well, that might be a future episode then.
Yeah,
So
maybe, yeah.
never
So,
know.
so
All right.
speaking of
Well,
future episodes,
that's a good segue, right?
you did a great job there again. Let's see. Um, Next week, August 12th, I'm going to look at the Saratoga County Homestead. Now, you said you'd never heard of this place, right, Jamie?
Nope, I
So
hadn't. All new.
it's in Providence, New York. Um, it was a tuberculosis sanatorium, so plenty of history there, and I'll dig into that a little bit. I've reached out to the current owner to see if I can find some stuff directly from him. Haven't heard back, but we'll see what happens. So, but it could be an interesting story, and it's not that far away. You know, it's another one of those that we
True.
could
True.
do a road trip or something. But anyway,
Hmm.
so we'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Then Ancient Ram Inn. I'm going to do the hauntings and history at Ford's Theater, which that has fascinated me for years.
Sure.
Um, Then we've changed the subject, the calendar up a little bit. September 2nd, we're shifting things around. We're going to have Jeffrey Tolbert, who's the assistant professor of American Studies and Folklore at Penn State University Middletown campus, on with his research assistant Sean
Dixon.
Dixon. And they're going to talk about the project that they've been working on for at least a year and a half now, but
Yep.
probably longer. So I'm interested. I haven't had time to sit down with them yet. Like when they're at the brewery, I'm always running around, and I haven't had time to sit down. So I'm looking forward to that a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
Agreed. I haven't either. So, um,
well, you
and
sat
you
down with me
are.
a little bit,
Well, I did, but it wasn't the intentional part of it that
right?
that the interview part that
Right.
he has because in a research project you have control questions, right? So you have to ask the same of everyone and document the replies, and that's your consensus data.
Right.
So you and I haven't gone through that yet because same thing, busy trying to get set up for the events, covering all the things, and
Hmm.
the time that it takes. It's not forever, but it's where others have done it in our team. We've let them I'll say let them. They took the opportunity first, maybe
Right.
even because they were available. And it's a low pressure thing. Do it if you can, and we'll
Hmm.
catch up if not next time
Yeah.
or somehow. So, which
So,
is really cool.
I think I'm going to set up a time and meet with him outside of the rush of the investigation.
Yeah,
Go have coffee with him or something in Marietta. So, well,
yeah,
that'll be a more
easy
relaxed
peasy.
situation. So,
Absolutely, totally agree.
so then the week after that, September 9th, you're going to do the Paris catacombs, the
Yep, just
secret.
shifting that back a week from where it was. That way we could fit Dr. Tolbert in on his schedule.
And then Jamie's going to bail on me on September 16th. He's got a business trip, but that's
I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay
Uh,
because I've got Dos Cocos coming on.
yep.
Todd and Carmela with 222 PIR or Paranormal Investigation and Research. I'm looking forward to that conversation. They're a great couple. They back to back birthdays last week.
Yep.
So it's going to be a good discussion. So hope everybody gets to join us for that. And then September 23rd, Ghosts of China's Forbidden City. I managed to squeeze that one into
Squeeze it in.
September
Yep.
for
Ghost month in
China's
China.
Ghost
So
Month, but yeah, yeah. So that one could be interesting too.
absolutely, that looks fun.
So, and then tomorrow night, Jamie,
There's another thing,
there's
right?
another thing. We were I forget where in this came. It came up last week during our show. Stacy Lee was looking for people to come on her show. And we said we'd be happy to. And tomorrow night we're going to be there. Um, uh, I have to put this comment up.
I'll share that comment.
Do we get dinner
From
before the
Carmela.
show on the 16th? Looking forward to being on. Sure, you guys can get dinner. That'd be great. I
Yeah,
don't
go
want you
ahead.
to come on
Go,
hungry.
please, I encourage you. We know Todd gets cranky when he doesn't eat. So,
So, but anyway, tomorrow night, Becoming Enchanted with the Rustic Spirit, 8 p.m. So an hour early than our normal time. And we're going to have a great conversation. So,
yeah, yeah. Stacy's a friend of the program, and we're a fan of her work.
mhm.
So it worked out logistically for our schedule. So happy to join her, and we'll see where the conversation goes.
Yep. So, and then we've got investigations coming up. August 16th, 10 tickets left as of today.
So ticket
So,
alert, it's happening.
so, um, so yeah. Then September 27th, October 11th, October 18th. That one's down in the teens as well because that's the last one before
All right,
Halloween. So
big
things
day.
are always interesting at boobies during that month.
It is.
So
Absolutely.
November 8th and December 6th. And I can't believe we're talking about the end of the year
Said the
investigations
same
already.
thing. Did that same thing last week, man.
Hmm.
It's crazy how the time just flies. I mean, it flies when you're having fun, so I guess that's good.
Right.
But oh
Hmm.
my,
So, and then we've got where you can find us. You found us on, and yes, we are in October. So
yeah, the question of Todd and Carmel, is it spooky season yet? It's always spooky season on Paranormal Lens. So go figure.
so yes. You found us on either Facebook or YouTube tonight, either on the Jott-Nyx Paranormal page, or you could have found us on the YouTube page that Paranormal Lens has. You can check out the Jott-Nyx Instagram and YouTube channels. You can email us at paranormallenspodcast@gmail.com. We're always looking for feedback, show ideas. New thing that I'm going to throw out there is swag ideas. We actually have a swag store that's up and running. And if you want to get to that, check out the link tree, which is linktr.ee/paranormal lens. And that has links to all our social medias, Jott-Nyx social medias, and our online store. You know,
Yeah,
so
and it's not too soon to mention that Christmas is really close by and only a couple months away, and you too can have a swanky shirt like this. And on the back is the seasons 1 and 2, all the episodes. So many other things are out there as well. So start planning your Christmas gifts now.
mm-hmm,
Hint, hint, hint from your Uncle Jamie. Don't
mm-hmm.
wait.
So, and Jamie, we've got a candle collection. I mean, I always have a candle
Why
burning
not?
behind me for the show.
Right.
So, it was something that was like, yeah, we can do that. So,
Do,
but
do the
anyway,
do the candles smell like ghosts?
it does. Yeah.
Okay.
So, um, but looking for other ideas. If there's something you want to see, let us know. Either they're on the show or a place you'd like us to actually go investigate. Always looking for ideas.
Yeah.
So,
Drop us a line, and if you're catching this on the streaming services later, leave a comment there. We'll see it, and happy to follow through on it. So
yeah.
just let us know.
Yep. Um, Tomorrow night, like we said earlier, you can find us on Rustic Spirit Podcast,
Yeah.
Becoming Enchanted. Looking forward to that. And yeah, any other thoughts, Jamie?
I don't. I mean, we gotta find out when we're gonna get to Savannah, I guess now, right? Um,
Well, I know what
Baseball
I'm
season's
driving
over,
through.
so we get a game and go check out the haunts separately.
Hmm.
One of the I talked about there's a lot of tours, and I had a slide. There's some slides near the end of the presentation of some of the stuff, but there is a Hearst tour
I
you
saw
can
that.
take. They've opened the roof of a hearse, put a canopy over it, and raised the seats up. But the entire it's kind of kind of cool. There's a trolley as well. There's no shortage of things to do around the paranormal in Savannah. So if you do get a chance to go, or if you've been, let us know how it was. Let us know your experience. Your thoughts to it. It's we're living vicariously at times through people, but we're flying over. Well, let us know how your flight went. Safe travels, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where we've had some really interesting conversations. I'll go back to the Hold a Folk episode that Chad did a while back in Iceland. We had a nice comment or a conversation from a resident there who had an old rock in the
Hmm.
grandparents' yard in the summer home. That the tales where there were Hold a Folk there. So like there's all these different touch points. Just let us know. We're curious, and we'll love to have that conversation with you sometime. So
Yep.
check in.
So, all right. Well, if there's nothing else, Jamie, then maybe we should wrap it up for tonight.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds good.
um,
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time tonight.
yeah.
We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yep. And as usual, stay alert, stay respectful, and stay curious. Good night.